Anger then turns out to be like this little red light on the dash. Maybe you've seen it. It says, check engine. I hate that light. Because I asked a mechanic once, what do you do when you see this light that says, check engine? He says, oh, pull over right away. Don't drive. It's not safe. I live in the desert. You don't just pull over in the desert. You got to get somewhere where people are. And so I'm looking at this light, and the light says check engine. Now, I have also discovered that that little light is hooked up to a computer. See, for once the automobile industry decided to do something for us. Because whenever they talk about something being engineered, I think what they mean is they sit around and figure out, how can I make this impossible to work on? It's like airplane seating is engineered. I'm 6'2". Have you ever sat on an airplane? It's horrible. I think the guy that engineered that should spend a week in a glad bag. And maybe he'd realize that that's not comfortable in there. And the guy in back of you, or in front of you sits back, and you have to go like this. And so that's why they say, you know, if the plane's coming down, put your seat forward, because if you don't, you're going to get a mouthful of seat. And so here I am, I'm looking at this, and this is red light. Check engine. Because now, I have an old 57 Chevy, two-door hardtop, Bel Air sedan, emerald green, white leatherette upholstery, 327, stick shift, twice pipes, anyhow. But at any rate, on this old car, they didn't have any of those lights. And so what you do is, if, for example, if you've got a crack in the carburetor hose, you don't know that. On the vacuum side, that you ladies will really be interested in this. If the vacuum hose has a crack in it, that means you're going to suck air in. And if you suck air in, you put more oxygen in the carburetor than gas. The ratio increases, makes it a hotter flame, which will burn valves. So it's not good to have a crack in the vacuum advance on the carburetor. But you don't know it unless you happen to lift up the hood and you hear this crack in the carburetor hose. But you don't know that unless you're under the hood. And if you're on a long trip and you turn your engine off and you're going for gas, you don't know it. So you could cause damage. Well, what they've done on the new cars is they have put this little red light hooked up to a computer that checks all the different places on the car for you. Carburation is one of the things it checks. So if you've got a leak in the vacuum advance, it's sucking in more air, there's a little meter in there that'll read that and say you got too much, you got a carburetor problem. So here's a light, check engine. Now, I've discovered that under the dash is this little computer plug-in. If you short it out with a bobby pin, you can make the light go blink, 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 and that's 32. So you pull out your handy-dandy computer book, if you got one, and in there it says 32 means carburation. So now I know where to look. Well, that was their way of trying to help us. Well, God is as good as any mechanic or any engineer in the automobile industry, and he has decided he will give us a little red light that helps us understand. See, because I didn't know I had a problem under the hood. I didn't even know I didn't know. So the red light does that. Well, anger's like that little red light. It says, you got a problem. You didn't know you had a problem. You didn't even know you didn't know. And so anger says, when it flares up, it says to me, there's something going on here. Proverbs 14:29. He who is of great understanding is not having a problem with anger. So if that's the case then, when anger flares up, it's saying to me, there's something going on here you don't understand. It's so remote to your understanding, you don't even understand that you don't understand.